This video is going to go over how to set up digital signage in your school step by step. Now, if you've got screens in your hallways, your cafeteria, or your classrooms that you want to use, or if you're setting them up for the very first time, this video will walk you through that entire step-by-step process so you don't end up with screens that sit blank or staff that can't figure out how to update them. We've deployed digital signage across over 5,700 schools across the US and Canada, so we know exactly what it takes to get it set up and running the right way. So let's dive in. Step one is to map your screens. Now, before you touch any software, the first thing you want to do is walk around the entire building and decide where your screens are going to live and who's going to manage the content for each one. This usually means a front lobby display, maybe one or two displays in the hallway, a few in the cafeteria, a few in the gymnasium, and maybe the interactive panels that are in the front of every classroom. So then you pair off each staff with the displays that they're going to manage. So for example, the front office coordinator can manage the lobby and hallway displays. The athletics director would own the gym displays. The cafeteria staff would own the menu boards, and so on. The reason that this step comes first is because the deployments that work, they have a long-term owner for each display from day one. If a screen doesn't have a person in charge of it, nobody's going to update it and it ends up just sitting on a black screen. And then it's just going to wind up one of those useless TVs that doesn't add any value to the building. The next important element is to make sure that you know which displays are going to be district-wide displays and which ones are going to be building specific. District-wide content is stuff like brand standards, superintendent announcements, maybe emergency notifications that need to reach every building at the same time. Building-specific content is everything that the individual school wants to run on its own, like bell schedules, sports scores, or student recognition. Doing this now will save you from having to redo permissions and schedules later on. The second step is to get your display connected. Once you have your screen list and owners mapped out, the next step is to get your display connected so you can actually start seeing content run on it. Now, if you're looking for a setup that's pretty straightforward, Rise Vision is our all-in-one digital signage platform that we built for schools that handles signage, screen sharing, emergency alerts, and it's all in one platform. You can get a free demo by clicking the first link below this video. Anyways, all you need to do is create your free Rise Vision account, install the Rise Player application on the device that's connected to the display, and activate it in your dashboard. Then you download the Rise Player installation file from your displays page or from our help center. You install it on the device, and when it starts up, it generates an activation code that will show on the screen. From there, you'll enter that code on the displays tab, you'll give that display a name, and now every change that you make in the platform will show up on that display. One of the biggest reasons districts like Rise Vision is because it runs on the commercial displays and the media players you already have. So there's no hardware replacement project required to get started. Commercial displays, Chromebooks, Windows devices, Linux devices, Android devices, Raspberry Pis, all of them run the exact same Rise Player. If you do want dedicated signage hardware, we also have our own media players and Avacor displays that pair straight into the platform, but they're completely optional. Step 3 is to build your core school content from our templates. So with your first display live, the next thing to do is to start putting content on it. And the fastest way to do that is to use one of our pre-designed templates rather than entirely building it from scratch. Rise Vision has over 750 professionally designed templates covering everything from announcements, schedules, event promotions, student recognition, safety messaging, and even more. You just pick the template that matches what you need that screen to show. You swap in your school's text, logo, and colors, and it's ready to publish without anyone from your team having to design anything. You can also build a presentation, which is a playlist of different content items that'll rotate on a loop. So one display can cycle through multiple pieces of content throughout the entire day. The next part is connecting the tools that your school already uses so the content updates automatically whenever the content in those tools changes. The Google Calendar and Outlook component pulls in your school's events automatically. So when an event is added or rescheduled in the calendar, it'll show up in the display automatically without anybody having to touch the signage system. And with the Canva integration, your marketing or communications team can design everything in Canva like they already do, and when that file gets updated, the displays will update with it. These integrations are what keep content updated over time, instead of the display slowly becoming irrelevant because nobody's got the time to log in and update that content each week. Step 4 is setting up your schedules, your permissions, and your emergency alerts. Now that you've got the content built, The next step is scheduling when each presentation plays, which is what lets a single screen show different content at different times of the day without anybody having to manually switch it. For example, you can schedule a lunch menu in the cafeteria from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then show general announcements on that screen for the remainder of the day. Schedules can target a single display, a group of displays, or every display in your account all at once. It all depends on how broadly that content applies. There's also an override schedule, which allows you to interrupt whatever's currently playing on that display to show something different for a set window of time, and when that override ends, it goes back to playing what it was before. Then you have the permission system, which is what keeps the rollout manageable once you have screens across more than one area of the building. You can assign each owner access to only the displays that they're responsible for. What this means is the front office manages only the front office and hallway displays. The cafeteria lead manages only the cafeteria displays. The athletics director manages only the gym displays. All of this without them being able to touch the content that's on the other displays. You'd set this up from the user section of your account by entering each person's email and then assigning them a role that controls what they can see and change. For districts that use single sign-on, Rise Vision supports SAML-based authentication, so staff can log in with the credentials that they already use and you don't have to manually provision their account. The last part to set up before you can call everything done is to set up your emergency alerts. This is what turns your displays into another layer of safety communication during a lockdown or during a weather event. If you're using Rise Vision, it'll integrate into the CAP-based emergency systems that most districts already run, like Crisis Go or Alert Us or Informacast. So when an alert fires from any of those systems, every affected display overrides automatically to begin showing that alert without anyone having to manually push it from the dashboard. And for environments where a visual display alone might not reach everyone, audio alerts can fire alongside that visual message. So in areas with a lot of noise, like a gym or a very full cafeteria, the message gets through, even if someone doesn't look up at a screen in time. Now, if you want our team to help you get this set up in your district, you can get a free demo of Rise Vision by clicking on the first link in the description. You'll get a walkthrough tailored to your specific buildings and using the hardware you already have. And our team will help you get your first displays live so you don't have to figure out any of this on your own. So once again, you can get your free demo by clicking on the first link in the description. And if you want to go deeper on how to actually use Rise Vision's digital signage specifically, then check out this video next.